do you analyze your data for YouTube, because you don't use vidIQ? So what tools do you use?
Just the stuff that they present to me, as well as like I have certain key figures whose ideas I really respect. As I said, Carthu and my friend Copa, both have different views, and I think I'm educated enough on this stuff where I have a different view from all three of them. But I'll like talk to myself as well as both of them, and then try to figure out like what stuff I deem as the correct answer, kind of like the path moving forward. Like recently with the stand that I'm kind of taking with like, all right, let's not make things super duper freaking long. Like I think a lot of the stuff that Copa told me regarding that stuff was very valuable. But sometimes like fixing the Mario Kart title and thumbnail, Carthu was the one that like really helped me out and was like, yeah, I think your value prop, like I think you're underselling the idea. And I was like, oh shoot, like that's it, like he got it. But primarily I think it's just like knowing what analytics to really focus on, and making, I don't really even check out that much. I think a lot of it too is I think I do a decent job of trying to understand like other factors that analytics won't tell you. I think some people get too deep into it. Like for example, lately my Kirby Nuzlocke do fantastic at first, and then they have like no longevity. And I think Kirby is just going through a bit of a dry spout, and that is something that like none of the analytics will tell you. But that's just something I've inferred from like, you know, looking at that data versus other things that have done well for me that like go on forever. And then like talking to other people, like I'm friends with like Failboat. I haven't even talked to him about this necessarily, but you can see he's trying to dip his toes into other things. He's primarily like a Kirby guy, and he'll still do Kirby stuff. But like recently, you know, like he'll do other stuff. I'm looking at his channel right now. He did like a Mario Party video recently, just a regular Mario video. Again, those are things that overlap with Kirby, but he's not purely doing Kirby, because I think like those things are like it's out of style, you know? So I think a lot of it is like the inference, is like understanding the audience and trying to really interpret the data.
Okay, like how old do you think a video is, or you should go back to the video and be like, you know, I should change the title, or I should change the thumbnail. Like let's say you're old, or yeah, someone who's the 1K, and you're like, none of my videos performed well. Do you think you should be like, forget it, let me just make a new video, and be like, oh wait, these videos are still good, I just need to fix the title and the thumbnail?
If you think it's worth fighting for, then do it. There's no way of knowing. Like as long as you're like, I believe in this project, I think like it will do well. I would rationalize it, obviously. Like if your retention graph is like 90% of viewers lost in the left in the first 30 seconds, you shouldn't. But if things look decent, like I said for like my first Pokemon Triple Battle Nuzlocke, like comments were phenomenal. People were absolutely adoring it. I was getting a lot of likes. Retention was very solid. I was like, okay, this indicates that I'm not selling this properly. Like the title and thumbnail are just not there. And thus, like that's when I had to make the change, if that makes sense. So I think that could be a case as well. It also depends on like what you're talking about. I go back to my Shadow video. I actually think that could have done a lot better, but I don't think I branded it the best. But it was supposed to capitalize off of the Sonic Generations remake being made with Shadow Generations. And I think that time is kind of like over. I could go back and change it and still see if it does better, but I don't deem it that worth it. But that was another instance where I think it didn't do super well because of the branding, but also because Shadow Generations hype didn't last that long. Like I noticed like people were done talking about that game fairly quickly after the fact. Like more of the hype was there in the build-up rather than after. Again, that's not I could be wrong on that. Someone could definitely debate me, but that's personally what I noticed, you know. There's a lot of factors. There's so many factors. Like I think Pikmin, for example, does so well for me because there's a mismatch. There's an incongruency in how popular it actually is versus what's represented on the internet. There's not that many YouTubers that are into Pikmin, but there is a lot of diehard Pikmin fans. So I think I came in and I didn't even do the most. Like I think some of my Pikmin thumbnails are not that good, but because not many people were doing it, they still did really well and have a lot of longevity just because the pool is a lot smaller. There's a lot of people that want to watch Pikmin stuff, but there's just not that many people, you know, doing it like me. Versus like Pokemon, where if you want to do Pokemon, there's like you have to compete with a billion different people. You really got to try your best to stand out. You know, you got to find something that like only you can do. But you can become. I think if people got to look at other franchises that like people love. You know, I think Paper Mario, the Mario RPGs, do really well for me because there aren't much big Mario RPG YouTubers. Obviously, you don't only want to make that your thing because then, you know, these games don't get new updates, they don't get new installments every year. You know, so you're gonna have a lot of dry spells, but definitely making it part of your repertoire is like I think really beneficial because a lot of people like these things, but not many people are actually making videos or art about it. So I think I went off on a little thing there, but yeah, that answers whatever question. Oh, changing the title of thumbnail. Yeah, I think like it's as long as you think it's worth fighting for. You're like, I think this can do well. I believe in it. Then I think that's when you fight for it.
Like for example, I had a video like 7 days ago. That one somehow got 700 views. But it was same like all my other videos that are doing like 20 views. Like but the only difference is this one's using like a character from an anime while the other ones are using a character from my indie project. Is it because like the other ones are using someone who's not well known while the other one's using a well known figure? Like that's why I'm like.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'd say right because it's just like. You know, there's that whole narrative where it's like YouTube's not about the creator, it's about the content, and that's like a bad thing, which is like I understand that, but I think it's like that's just natural, which I can talk about that for hours if you wanted me to, but naturally like you kind of have to like the way you build I think on YouTube is you got to make yourself about something that people care about because no one's going to care about you at first, and then as you grow people will start to like you for yourself, but you have to earn that, right? So I think like if someone wanted to like make like if your indie project, if you're making videos about it right now, probably not gonna do that well because like it's like why, I don't know, I'm not a fan of your project, I never played it. Excuse my voice just cracked right there. But I never played it. But then like maybe that stuff will start doing good once you make the game and it's like I don't know, like a 10 out of 10. You got yourself your own Undertale, your own Celeste, you know.
Yeah, no, because I did retry again with using like a character anime thumbnail. Did not hit. I was like, how did it work one time and not the other? I was just like, thumbnails don't make sense. I'm like trying to figure out. I was like, what? So it was just like, just a one time. So like, that's why I was like trying to figure out. It's just like, the mindset of a viewer. It's just like you want to see something that's familiar. You don't want to see something that's unfamiliar. But at the same time, it's just like, what looks like a good thumbnail to someone, and it's one of those things where like you're talking about your thumbnails, and like from my perspective all your thumbnails look good as a viewer, but like you as a creator is like, oh, but I could always use some more work. I'm just like yeah, I mean there's basic principles that I follow, at least I'm not saying these universal. Obviously I think some that are universal are having nice contrasting colors, making things that pop, which can even be like we're seeing a resurgence of people just uploading things with a white background, calling it a day. Like the idea of counterculture, you know, people started making these very high produced thumbnails. So then like the cool thing kind of became doing ones that are just like a PNG in front of a white background. And what that does is it's different. It stands out. You see a bunch of pictures of these high production thumbnails, and the one that's going to stand out is the one that's different. But I think like having as little elements as possible, you know, like under 4, and an element could be like text, it could be a character, not making things too complicated. Those are natural things. But I look at some of my thumbnails and I'm like, this could convey the idea better. This can create more intrigue. For example, can I beat Shadow the Hedgehog as a pacifist? That's my Shadow video. And it's a really cute image of Shadow holding up a flower. I love that picture. I don't think it conveys the idea super properly. Well, I thought about changing the whole branding to I made my own path or story path in Shadow the Hedgehog, and what that does is it asks a question. It's like, what? How did you do that? And then the thumbnail is maybe like Shadow looking down 3 paths, and one of them says pacifist, and it kind of like shows that answers a little bit of the question, and the question becomes, how does he do a pacifist run? Like, don't you need to beat enemies? And then you watch the video. But also what it does is it shows what's interesting about the video, you know, because people have done pacifist runs of games, but Shadow is a little different because there's so many alternate paths you can take in the game, and it's more so about finding which one requires you to not hurt enemies rather than like abusing glitches and like doing this, that, and the other thing to avoid
you know, killing enemies and what have you. You know, there's a little bit different there. So that's where I think like ideas can more so be changed. I think people like to chalk thumbnails up to something very simple, like, oh, this one had an anime character, why didn't this one work? When I think there's a lot of external factors that that are also contributing to the success of things being, you know, watched or clicked on. So yeah, it's usually a lot more complicated than that. I think trying to think of correlations as a one-to-one thing is a fallacy.